Things have changed. I found out last night, so this is one of those movie reviews that I will be doing by myself because I watched a movie that there's no way Yvonne would watch it. Um, it's been on my recommended from Netflix for a long time. Where it's like, hey, we recommend this because I watch horror movies. I enjoy horror movies. Ash vs. Evil Dead's fantastic, and I'm okay with gore. But there are some movies that over the years I've watched, and all I can think is, I'm not sure who this entertains. Um, but before I get really into this, I should look this up again because um, I think what threw me in this movie was what horror movies like this sometimes do. Um, okay, so I'll get into that. So the movie's called Terrifier, and if you're on Netflix, odds are it's in recommended. Now, there's no rating on it that I saw. It's not rated. I'm going to tell you right now, if you threw a rating on it, it's NC-17. There's no way this gets an R rating. No. No. Right off the start. So, start of the movie, you see this small television, so like an 80s style small television, and it's all kind of fuzzy, and then they go into an interview. And a woman is being interviewed who was the only survivor of this massacre that they talk about, um, involving Art the Clown. Now, I can only assume that it's in reference to Art the Clown's first appearance on cinema, which was in an anthology movie called All Hallows Eve. And Art the Clown is just an evil looking clown who apparently is supernatural. And once I figured that out, I had this collective, and I'll get into that. I'll get into that because there's a lot of good things in this movie, and yet there was enough to put me off that I cannot recommend it. I can't. So, anyways, this girl's being interviewed, and she's mangled. So I don't know if her face got cut off or what happened to her, but she's missing an eye, and she's just the makeup is fantastic. The makeup work in this movie was great, and honestly, the gore effects in this movie are top notch. They are pretty realistic looking on a B movie level, and unnerving at the same time. So, which is okay. And I want to talk about that a bit because I don't want to come off as being just a prude and just saying, well, you can't have that in a movie because that's just not right. I've watched a lot of horror movies over the years. Many horror movies. Things have definitely changed over the last few years. I haven't watched as many, but there are other movies like this one that I haven't been able to sit through. Um, and honestly, there were scenes that I had to kind of fast forward past where I'm like, I don't want to see this, and I didn't, and I no. So this girl with the no face gets interviewed, and then after that, the clown kicks the television and breaks it, and then you see him picking up his bag of toys and goodies, which is all weapons, and he's heading out the door because the last thing the girl says is there was a fire and I know he's dead, meaning Art the Clown. So his name's Art the Clown. Um, she knows he's dead. That's it. And apparently he just comes out on Halloween and kills people. And it was a year later. So then they show this girl who was interviewing her talking about, yeah, if my face is ever like that, just kill me. And I thought, okay, well, they're phoning this in. Obviously, this girl's gonna die. And I thought, now if Art the Clown magically ends up in this scene, that'll be kind of weird. That'd give him like teleportation powers along the lines of Jason Voorhees. If you don't think Jason Voorhees can teleport, you haven't been paying attention to Friday the 13th movies because there are scenes where you're like, wait, he was just over there. How did he? Teleportation. It's the only way he can do it. It's magic. So instead, you hear a noise, and of course she's on the phone like, oh, I don't ever want to look like that. If I'm ever not pretty, I just want to die. And it's like, you're going to die. And then, so she goes to investigate, and of course, there's a bunch of clothes, so she has to open the clothes, and there's nobody there, because there never is anymore, because there used to be in horror movies, so now there isn't, because you got to have the fake scare, right? Which is fine, I understand all that. And then she is attacked by the girl who didn't have a face, that she was just interviewing, who puts her fingers in her eyes. Spoilers. This is the first 2 minutes of the movie. and there's just blood everywhere, and there's eyeball, and basically, here's, and she's dead. And they show her, and her face is all messed up, and her eyes are gone, and she's dead. And I thought, I don't think that'd kill you right away. But one thing that horror movies, and it's something that I've noticed as I've gotten older, and you know, Yvonne and I have watched a few horror movies here and there together. People die really, really easily in horror movies. You know, you'll just get stabbed in the gut, and then they drop, and then they're done, and that's it. But I prefer that. I've always been very against, and you know what? I while I'm saying things have changed, and I'm looking at this movie as maybe showing that maybe my moral compass has moved. Not really. The Hostel movies, couldn't stand them. I thought the Hostel movies were just gratuitous and exploitative and just vile. The only Hostel that I liked was the third one. Yeah, and that was the one where they tone everything down, and it was kind of made direct for video, and they tone it down. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do with horror movies, because some horror movies, and I'm going to put this one in that category as well, seem to have this idea of, hey, what would be really disgusting we could put on camera? Okay, now how do we make that work? So they try to make a scene happen that'll allow it, and this is why. Torture porn is a thing. This is why it's a term. Because you set up this scene like you would in an adult movie, and the story doesn't really matter because you're just there for the adult scenes. And in this case, people are there for the gore. I'm not. Now, this Ash vs. Evil Dead is one of the most disturbing, gory shows you will ever witness. Ever. But it's funny. It's got characters you care about. And it's creative, and it's different, and it has its own universe. This movie could have had this. Terrifier absolutely could have 100% had this. And the first two characters you meet are played by Catherine Corcoran and Jenna Cannell. They play Tara and Dawn. Don't get attached. So again, spoilers, right? They introduce you to two girls who are drunk and out on Halloween. I know, that's a really, really weird thing, right? Two young ladies out drinking on Halloween. So they decide they're too drunk to drive. Let's go have pizza. That'll sober us up, and then we'll be able to drive. Again, the math checks out. I've known people that will do that. People that'll have 10 drinks, and I'll just have a cup of coffee, and then I'll be good to drive. And it's like, you won't. So these girls are out, and they see Art the Clown, and of course, the dark-haired girl played by Jenna Cannell, Tara, she right away goes, that guy's creepy. Whereas Dawn, played by Catherine Corcoran, says, nah, and she starts like flirting, and hey, my friend thinks you're cute, and blah, 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 blah. So what happens is they end up at a pizza place, and Art the Clown walks in and gives them a smile, and the smile's creepy. And he doesn't talk. At no point in the movie does he speak. So this is kind of where the standard 80s throwback stuff really starts. You've got a killer that doesn't speak. You've got a killer that's just creepy and kind of walks around, and he's not super intelligent either, but his hunting skills are pretty strong. So these girls quickly realize that something's not right with this guy, so they leave, and then Art ends up killing the guy at the restaurant, whatever. And there's all these really heinous murders that start there. It's only an 84-minute movie. It's not a long film. But the gore picks up from there, and then the problem is that he chases down the dark-haired girl, Tara, who I really liked. I really liked that character a lot. And he traps her, and she's, of course, taped to a chair and all this. And I never quite understood. Because he doesn't speak, so you don't really get into that. He takes joy in what he's doing. I just don't understand the why and any of that, and I don't know that it necessarily matters. So while she's in a chair, he threatens her with weapons, and she flinches, and he threatens he's going to cut her throat, and then she just sits there, and he pats her on the head. And I thought, okay, now this could be interesting if he's trying to test her with the idea that maybe there's something else to this. Maybe there's some deeper meaning. Nah, we won't do that. Instead, he reveals that her blonde friend has already been imprisoned. She's got tape over her mouth. She's hanging upside down. Ends up hanging upside down naked. It's not pleasant because things aren't going to go well for her. And then the most heinous scene I've ever watched in a horror movie takes place, which just left me feeling not good. But again, this is where the part of my brain that keeps functioning while this horrific awfulness is going on the screen. All I keep thinking is human beings aren't made of cheese. So while this is a horrific image that's up there, wouldn't work that way. Can't. It's this horrible, horrific, the most easily. I think it's the grossest scene I've watched in a movie outside of, I want to say, Green Inferno, the cannibal movie, Cannibal Holocaust. So the cannibal movies. Green Inferno basically just plays on Cannibal Holocaust. I cannot recommend either of those movies less than I do. I recommend not watching them, and if you've watched them, get one of those things from Men in Black that'll erase your memory, and just change that memory to, a nice day with your dog at the beach. Change it to something else, because it's just horrific. And what gets me with movies like that, and to me this movie qualifies in that too. I enjoyed slasher flicks when I was a kid, but they were always fun. And you could sit around with your friends, joke around, and this movie didn't have that feel. You get it, not attached to these characters, be like, oh, I wonder about these characters, Tara and Dawn. So I'm just looking at, and they just kill them off. So Tara gets away. So after watching her friend Dawn get horribly mutilated and killed, she realizes, I'm next. So she gets away. And this is about when you find out Art the Clown is unkillable, which takes all the tension out of it. It really does. You can have a Saw-style killer or a Hostel-style killer. You can have an unkillable villain like Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, but if you combine the two, I'm gone. I'm done. That's when my brain goes, wait, no, because I believe she stabbed him in the back, and then he just gets up and shakes it off, and I went, oh, no. He's superhuman. He's supernatural. He's whatever. And I felt icky. So this girl's taken off. I'm like, okay, well, maybe if she didn't get away. Nah. And then she's dead. And then he just runs around killing other people. And if you look at the synopsis for the movie, it says that he's hunting these two girls, and he'll kill anybody who gets in his way. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So they're going to find people that they talk to about this clown and how this clown's after them, and they're going to, they're going to have people protecting them. We're going to have this big showdown. No, they're just dead. They're just dead. And then he kills a bunch of people, and then the movie ends. I couldn't recommend it less. That being said, the two main actresses from the start of this movie, I will keep track of what they do beyond this, because the talent's there, and I was very interested in their characters who didn't stick around long enough. Again, if I was making this, and I've talked before about how if I was making a horror movie, right, I would have made it so that they are your heroines from the beginning till the end. Maybe the blonde girl gets killed, but the brunette would have stuck around. Or maybe do it the other way around. Maybe the brunette, the one that seems like the smart one, maybe she gets killed, and then the blonde's got to smarten up quick and figure things out while she's still drunk. And come up with some way to defeat this undefeatable thing, and come up with some sort of a weakness or something. Yeah, so I thought I'd do this review because, like I said, it's been in my recommended, and I thought I'll give it a shot, and I regretted it pretty much right away. So I just want to let you guys know, if you like horror movies, if you can handle the excessive gore and the scenes that are just so over the top, uh, you're in a better place than I am, I guess, because I can't do that. And at the start of this, I thought, Shannon, maybe you're softening up as you get older. But then I think about it and I think, no, no. Even when I was a teenager, there would be movies I would rent and I go, I don't like this, and it would always be just that it was just relentless gore thrown at the screen. The storyline didn't matter, the characters didn't matter. It was just, let's see how many different ways there are to kill somebody, and that never impressed me. The thing, and I've got Ash versus Evil Dead on for that reason. The thing that impresses me about the series and about the Evil Dead movies in general is they're gory, they're over the top, but they still create characters that endure. When you look at Ash versus Evil Dead, and then they start talking about his sister Cheryl. Well, you remember Cheryl from the first movie, and then her spirit, she comes back to life and all this, and you go, wow, okay, and you remember Cheryl and all this stuff that happened in Evil Dead. So while it's graphic and it's grim, there's still characters to it. You still cheer for Ash. You have a hero in this, and in this movie, a bunch of crap happens. Clown kills a bunch of people, and it doesn't really end up mattering a whole lot. It's too bad. It's too bad because the clown figure himself, played by David Howard Thornton, who played Art the Clown, terrifying, terrifying. That smile alone, terrifying, fantastic, wonderful. And the idea of what's behind all of this, and creating a more impactful storyline, I think really could have been awesome. And then it's just, we'll just throw a bunch of gore at the screen. It's too bad. Like, for instance, when you see the blonde is there and she's prisoner too. He takes the tape off her mouth and the two girls say anything to each other. They don't say a word. And then the blonde's dead, and then soon enough the brunette's dead, and it doesn't matter. There's a lot of really, really creepy stuff that goes on in it. So, again, if you watch it, you've been warned. And there you go. Let me know if you watched this, if I missed something. If there was some grand, wonderful storyline anywhere in this. I've seen people say it's a wonderful 80s throwback. 80s horror movies were generally very tongue-in-cheek and silly. I think of movies like Slumber Party Massacre, Sorority House Massacre, Return of the Living Dead. Movies that might have a high body count, but they're really silly. And the Slumber Party Massacre movies, as they went along, they were just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous and over the top. And we loved it. We laughed all the way through it. These movies were silly and sometimes unintentionally funny and sometimes intentionally funny. Return to Horror High was a surprisingly well done horror movie back in the day. So if that's what this was trying to harken back to, I don't see it. To me, this had more of a 70s, let's see how far we can push this feel to it. So again, let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And I'm way ahead of you guys. I told Yvonne straight out I will never make her watch that movie. I told her that's just, there's no way. I couldn't get to sleep till 2 in the morning last night because it messed with my head. Went to bed at 11:30. 2 hours later, I'm still like, no. Because movies like that will cause nightmares. I don't get nightmares through other horror movies I watch, but those ones that are really visceral and mess with, they're just really, really gross. It's really hard to get that out of my head. So just as a word of warning, if you're at all squeamish, and I'm not squeamish. Like I said, I love Ash vs. Evil Dead. I laugh all the way through. Every scene in that show, even when he's in the morgue and he's got his head in a place you really should never have it. That to me was really funny. It was gross, but it was really funny and it wasn't off-putting. So let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below if you saw this. Like I said, if I missed something, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I really need to make my own horror movie. I need to. It's the cheapest movie you can make, and I know I could do a really good horror movie. It's just a matter of the time. I think I could come up with a budget, and then of course there's a whole crew and all that other wonderful stuff. Someday it'll happen. The THG movie, and it'll have nothing to do with hockey. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.